What is up, YouTube? James Prigioni here. First video of hopefully a lot.
What's going on, growers? It's now July 1st, 2018. 5 years and hundreds of videos later. So today I want to take you through and show you how we turned a suburban backyard into a food forest. Let's go! The first thing I want to show you is what can happen if you put the right system in and stick with it. This is now what the food forest looks like. A complete change. You can see that this was all grass. And the area originally that I just showed you was a much smaller section, but we had to expand. And now we've basically taken over the whole backyard. Let me take you inside though, and just show you how everything's growing. I'll take you in through one of our entrances. Tuck's holding down the fort, main security. He's been with us since the start. Without him, I really don't think this would have been much of a success, because he's been a great encourager, and one of the reasons I love coming out here is just to have fun with him sometimes. We've got this mailbox in and holds a lot of our tools, so don't misplace them. And everything in here has a purpose. Either it's food, or it's a companion plant, or it's an herb. And we try to go as much as we can in this little space, because this space may be bigger than some, but it's really not a huge area. We're in a suburban lot, only 1/3 of an acre. So maybe if you're a big farmer and you've got 5 or 6 acres, this area may be small to you. But I think that's a good thing, because I think it makes it more relatable to a lot of you guys watching. Because you're probably in the same scenario as me, where you don't have a lot of space, but you like to grow a lot of different things because you just love the diversity. That's one thing that I encourage is to get all different diversity. It makes gardening so much more fun. And to select the right variety. Variety selection is one of our greatest choices. As you see, peaches above me here, more peaches to my left, apples below it, asparagus below that. The diversity is what reigns in here. I almost forgot to mention the grapes above me too. These are the Concord, so sweet, great for making jelly. I love these ones. They're a slip skin grape, and this kind of gardening, it's way different than probably what you've seen. It's a different perspective, a different way to view things. We try to set up a system that works for us rather than just becoming a slave to it. And not everything works all the time because we're growing in such a natural method, but the idea and the way to look at it, for me, it's again a switch of perspective. It's more of, are things happening for you or to you? So I like to think that things are happening for me, and that's what I believe. So I know that everything works together really, truly for good. That's what I focus on, the good, but I learn from the bad. Although we're creating a system like this, a food forest, that helps to take care of us, there are some things that we could do that'll really encourage it. We're a steward in the system. We do things like train up the vines, tie them, and also prune the trees to open up more light to others. That's what I'm gonna do today. Not just prune the trees, but prune some of the raspberries, because they're getting so thick in a patch. If things get overcrowded, you're actually gonna get a smaller harvest. So pruning can make things actually encourage and grow more. I know it sounds weird, but cutting away can actually increase growth and overall yield. Let me bring you over to these raspberries and prune some of them down. As I walk through this food forest, you can feel it has that true forest feel now that I'm surrounded by all different trees. This is a small setting. This is only 1/4 of the yard. I just started a new food forest too, just this year. In another section, I'm gonna show you that as the video progresses. Let me take you on this side though. Years ago, we talked about how we wanted to have a lot of fruit trees and then berries and stuff on the ground, all perennials. Now you can see a lot of the raspberries have filled in, strawberries in other sections, but again, it's still a little too thick. Like this, they're not getting enough light or water. I'm gonna come through and cut some patches going down the center. That'll reduce the amount of growth and open up more opportunity to get better fruit in the long run. If you can see, I just watered this section yesterday. I came out here and noticed how dry it really was. So I know I have to come and prune this. I'm getting a lot of weak spindly stalks instead of a number of really strong ones. If you want, you could take these and root them into the ground, but we're not gonna do that. We already have enough. As I do this, I'm making sure that I'm taking out the small ones too. I'm not taking out any of the big ones. This is a good healthy one here. These are fall-bearing raspberries, so we'll get a nice crop in the fall. By doing this, a lot of these are sharing the same rootstock, so we'll kind of encourage that extra growth and hopefully get a bigger fruit harvest at the end of it. I'm going to continue doing this, but let me bring you to some other stuff and show you. Ideally, I should have pruned those raspberries earlier, and that would encourage even more growth, but better late than never. You can see these currants are doing okay back here, but it's just been so hot and so dry. They could really use some water. I'll be sure to get some back here for them. And this fruit tree is doing well, this apple. It's got a couple of really nice apples on it. And I can't really overemphasize the importance of pruning and thinning if you're going to grow a food forest, especially if you want to plant things as dense as I do. People often ask me, about tree spacing. How close should you plant them? And for me, that's based on circumstance. If you have as much room as you want and you have acreage, then I would plant them dwarf fruit trees, 15, 20 feet apart. I would give them plenty of space. This way you can get plenty of light and plenty of airflow. But it's when you're in a section like I am, a small area, and you want to have a high diversity of different things growing. So I can't really give you an exact spacing. That's really up to you. But I'll tell you, the closer you space everything, the more you're going to have to prune. And when it comes down to it, it could be even more work by planting very dense. But like I said, one of the joys of growing fruit, annuals, whatever you're growing, is the variety, the difference of things. You can see this grapevine is setting up nicely. This is just a 7-year-old food forest though. Like I said, I've got new sections growing where we're taking the system and showing you just how he did it, start to finish. And those videos were probably some of my favorite ones I've made. As you can see, some purple coneflower right in front of me here. I just want to take you over to these hazelnuts, show you some of the nut sets on them, which is exciting to see, as we got another pear that just is doing very well for us. I've mentioned it before, but pears are our killers. They're the best for us, the best producers. They're our most reliable fruit, so we have a number of them in, and we're always adding more. You don't have to do it all in a year. Everything accumulates. That's important to realize, something I learned. We've got a nice pear right here. Look at that fruit, looking real nice. Setting up, 2nd year, great growth, great fruit. And you guys have mentioned you want to see some figs. We got them in because of you guys. Without your encouragement and letting us know what to grow, we wouldn't have put it in. But we've got figs here, they're fruiting. We're excited about that. I've also got a Saskatoon and serviceberry on the side. You guys said I should add one. We did about a year or two ago. This clip here is from March 2013. Now let me show you what it looks like July 2018, 5 years later. As you can see, that suburban backyard is now turned into a place where we produce a lot of food. A food forest. To my left, the 7-year-old one. And what I'm standing in now is the new one. Just 1 year old, but as you can see, we're gonna be going to big production real soon. I brought you all along for the progression as we turn this, like I said, from grass into a food forest. This is gonna be a lot of food in a short amount of time. And the reason for that is because we have all the experience and everything we've learned, the knowledge from that past food forest, and we're incorporating it into this one. It doesn't have to happen in a day, but it will all come together. The only thing we did was put down our contractor's paper and a thick layer of wood chips. You can do this if you have space. It's not hard, it doesn't take a lot of work, but it is all about investing. For this new food forest in here, we didn't use any fertilizers, go out and buy anything expensive. Basically everything was free. We sourced local resources like the wood chips, and we used some black leaf mulch. I didn't use much though, I only used it to top dress the plants because I wanted to show you guys. You could just do it with wood chips. You're not going to get the hugest, most healthy plants the first year if you don't have good soil, but you're constantly building soil. You're bringing the worms in, you're holding in the moisture. Every year, you're going to get bigger harvests with less work because you're investing in your soil. So important. That's one of our greatest, assets as a whole species. The ground, the soil life. Without that, we're not producing any food. Even if you only eat meat, that meat you eat probably eats grass or eats vegetation. Everything starts with the green, everything starts with the grass. That's one reason why I love Joel South and how he calls himself a grass farmer. He knows where everything starts. And you can see a lot of different tomatoes, and we've got some basil here. When you got the basil flowering, you want to just come through and pop off these tops. You don't want it to flower. By doing that, you're going to encourage the other ones to spread out. You're going to get multiple tops. And young fruit trees, young peach trees, the right varieties, disease-resistant ones that resist peach leaf curl, because we're here in New Jersey where we've got extreme humidity. It's super high, and on a day like today, it's over 90 degrees with very high humidity. It feels like 103, it said. So we're fighting the heat, but with thick wood chips, we hold that moisture in. Still got a couple cabbages, probably eat this one today. Some broccolis putting out the side shoots, gotta eat that one. A bunch of kale. It seems as though the purple kale does best here, which is nice. And with all this gardening I'm showing you in the backyard, a lot of you probably know we've got the side garden too. That's producing a lot of food for us, specializing in berry production. So I don't have time to show you that today, but stick around and I'll bring you along for that, because we've got tomatoes,
berries, fruit trees, and over there we've got our best looking apples.
That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. As you've seen in the video, you suggested things to grow. The figs, the service berries, we got them in. So when you comment, I listen. Continue to do so because you have better ideas than I usually do. And I want to grow as much diversity as I possibly can. That's one of my favorite things, like I said, about gardening. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget that ring and notification bell. It truly helps the channel. And check us out on Steam It too. We love posting on there. James Prigioni, peace out.